Continuing education knows that at the end, students want to graduate, and we can help them do that because we take the time to really listen to their needs and we understand all the different options that are available across the campus for them.
We don't take a cookie cutter approach. We realize each student comes with their own story. So whether it's a part-time student looking to complete a degree program or someone just looking for online courses, we're there to connect them to the resources of the university.
Hello everyone. If you haven't done so already, I encourage you to please silence or turn off your cell phones so that we don't disrupt the panel that we have for you today that I'm sure is going to be very, very exciting. Welcome, and first off, for recording purposes, today is Friday, April 12th, 2024. It is 3:30 p.m., and this is panel number 18037, which is titled The Future of Music. So again, good afternoon, and thank you for joining us today. My name is John Davis, and I'm the Dean of the College of Music here at CU Boulder, and I'll be the moderator for you for this panel. One of my colleagues in the College of Music recently said that there seem to be as many various careers in music as there are students in our own College of Music. We believe the future of music is more than simply producing music educators, music theorists, or musicians capable of performing in traditional symphony orchestras or opera houses and so on. We're currently exploring different avenues of study for our students, including music production, songwriting, and much more. And so I'm very excited about this particular discussion about the future of music and the infinite possibilities it holds for us all. Before we get started, the University of Colorado, Colorado's flagship university, honors and recognizes the many contributions of indigenous peoples in our state. CU Boulder acknowledges that it is located on the traditional territories and ancestral homelands of the Cheyenne, Arapaho, Ute, and many other Native American nations. Their forced removal from these territories has caused devastating and lasting impacts. While the University of Colorado Boulder can never undo or rectify the devastation wrought on indigenous peoples, we commit to improving and enhancing engagement with indigenous peoples and issues, locally and globally. And we will do this by recognizing and amplifying the voices of indigenous CU Boulder students, staff, and faculty and their work. Educating, conducting research, supporting student success, and integrating indigenous knowledge. Consulting, engaging, and working collaboratively with tribal nations to enhance our ability to provide access and culturally sensitive support and to recruit, retain, and graduate Native American students in a climate that is inclusive and respectful. One other thing I'd like to mention is that we want to be sure you get a chance to ask questions, and here's how we'll handle the Q&A. We'll reserve the end of the discussion for that Q&A. We're using a note card system to receive questions from the audience. At any time in the session, simply raise your hand to request a note card and pencil from one of our producers. And producers, raise your hands. There we go. There's Faith on the side there. Please write legibly if you can. I know I can't, but if you can, please do so. If you are a student, please note this as well in your question on the card. When you finish, raise your hand to hand it to the producer, who will bring it up to me. And I urge everyone to please make your questions brief and to the point. And now I'd like to do a brief introduction of each of our panelists. And for more information, you can find more about them on the CWA website. Starting from the far end, first we have Marcus Braun, native of Chicago, currently living in Los Angeles. Marcus is a DJ and EDM, electronic dance music artist, who has developed a loyal following of fans that are drawn to his energetic performances. He has a project set to release this year called the 4 a.m. EP, which will encapsulate his signature sounds. He is set to weave his musical magic across the Americas this spring as he continues to redefine the boundaries of house music, infusing each venue with his passion and energy, and proving that his music is not just heard, it's experienced. Since moving to Los Angeles, Marcus has also founded his own record label Club Level Records that focuses its efforts on innovative new sounds and immersive live experiences for concert goers. Next, we have Matthew Jones, also known as the Relative Zero. Proudly representing Berlin, Germany, and Boulder, Colorado, Matthew is a Berlin-based techno music producer / DJ and owner of Relative Studios, a recording and production studio and music school. With an educational background in orchestral music theory and composition, the Relative Zero creates a unique orchestral yet hard-hitting sound designed for Berlin's many techno dance floors. He often performs in the techno clubs of Berlin and throughout Europe, in addition to music festivals throughout the year. He is known as one of the founders of Rave for Good, EV, a non-profit organization that hosts professional raves with the goal of using the profit to help humane charitable groups. And lastly, next to me, we have Hunter Leggitt. Hunter is the founder and CEO of the Hunter Leggitt Studio, a multidisciplinary experiential design firm based in Denver. They specialize in experiential production design, large-scale artwork, creative direction, and custom architecture. He is also a DJ with over 25 years of experience playing on the radio and at world-class venues such as Coachella and Burning Man. Thank you all for joining us today. To kick things off, I'd love for each of you to tell us just a little bit more about yourself and share some initial thoughts, perhaps starting with you, Marcus.
Sure. I'm Marcus Braun. I actually went to school in Boulder between the years of 2015 and 2019, at which point, during my time at CU, I started developing a really strong passion towards music production, DJing, and artistry. And after my time at CU, I decided to take kind of my passion over to Los Angeles. I moved in the peak of COVID, so a lot of people felt that would have been a bad move. It would have been a kind of hard to meet people and kind of get my roots into the city, but I found that during those slow months, there was a lot of intimate settings that formed, and the hangouts were very, very close. And so I ended up meeting a lot of really, really great people on a personal level in the Los Angeles music scene that really allowed me to sort of develop myself as an artist, develop the circle around me that I was growing my artistry with. And from there, I found a business partner. We started a record label, Club Level Records, as mentioned. We try to throw immersive experiences, intimate experiences all over the city. We have about 3 to 4 residencies right now, which we throw shows weekly. And beyond that, right now, I'm trying to expand my own personal artistry out of the city of Los Angeles and play in multiple cities across the United States. So that's kind of what I'm up to right now.
Thank you. Matt?
Hello, everyone. My name is Matthew Jones. I'm a music producer, I'm a musician, and I'm based out of Berlin, Germany. I've lived there for the last 10 years and become really comfortable and part of the Berlin techno scene there. I run a recording studio, which is also serving as a music school and a place for DJs to come practice, musicians to come record, or any musician to get their stuff mixed and mastered and ready for distribution. In Berlin, I perform very often in nightclubs. I often, in the summer, perform at music festivals as well, and have put on music festivals from bare bone. As far as the music scene over there, I've been a little bit in every part. As far as performance, I do a live set, which involves a lot of future music, which we'll talk about today. Synthesizers, drum machines, all linked together with computers to create live electronic music. Think of a band put inside a computer and ready for you to work with. That's kind of where music over there is working towards. You have DJs who are playing tracks that are created by other people, working in this linear form, like you would in GarageBand, starting with second 0, over time working over here. Nowadays, I'm seeing over there a transition into live electronic music that is being created in the moment, as opposed to prepared beforehand. You also, I'm sure there's some of this in the US going on as well, but I'm involved with people over there that are trying to push this forefront. How can we use technology as a tool to help our music to move forward, to allow us to make new sounds? Lastly, he also touched on, I'm a founder of Rave for Good, which is an organization, non-for-profit, we've started where we do parties, everything from small club events to last year we did a truck on Love Parade with Rave the Planet in Berlin, which is a 300,000 person event. So you can imagine the different in scales. We have everyone in our organization donate their time as much as possible. The musicians will play for free as much as possible. And we take this extra money and we donate it towards good causes. We've built a well in Africa for a village that had no drinking water. We've donated to active war zones recently. Many different things that we decide on need our help. Turning something that is normally a very consumer-based product, a party where someone is putting most of the money in their pocket, into something that is good for the world.
Thank you, Matthew. Hunter.
I want to thank you guys for holding out till the very tail end. This has been a really fun conference to speak at, and I really appreciate it from all the producers who put so much effort into it. My name's Hunter Leggitt. I am the owner of my two companies, Hunter Leggitt Studio and House of Fable. I was a CU graduate in 2003 in the School of Architecture, and during that time I played on the radio at Radio 1190, which used to be downstairs in the UMC in the basement. We'd put a lot of shows on at the Fox and some of the local theaters, and it was primarily the show we were running was underground hip hop. And this is pre-electronic kind of DJ EDM days. This is when everything was vinyl and tapes, and it was a very, very incredible experience and a very kind of like a great starting point for where I took music. My passion, what I've done professionally, which follows different passions, is spread between three different industries. One is architecture, design build architecture. One is production design, which encapsulates large art, immersive experiences, and event production. And then the last is what I don't quite call a profession, because I've never taken it quite professionally, but it has been a hobby that has taken me more places in the world than I have otherwise, and it's introduced me to more opportunities and experience than anything, which is DJing. I will talk more about the production design side and the DJing because I think it's relevant to this conversation. But starting off, I was always a musician. I always played the piano and was very kind of tuned in with my ear on what was playing around me. And all genres of music, from classical to country to folk to electronic to hip hop. I was always interested in what made me feel something. And I think through taking that and also pairing it with what brought people together and provided a common experience and a collective experience, I've taken that in the last 20 years professionally, turned that into larger experiences and productions that impact lots of people. And what I'm really focused on right now is transitioning in that culmination of design, of art, and of experience. And last year at Burning Man, we produced one of the largest and most dynamic pieces of art out there, which combined a large sculpture that told a story of a ancient Greek mystery cult led by women that were drinking psychedelic potions, and paired it with a drone show. We produced our very first drone show, which was 900 feet wide, 1,000 drones, and choreographed ballet in the sky that I brought in a composer to do a custom composition for the show that told the story as well. So I'm very eager, bold, and excited about the future of music, where it's going, and what the opportunities exist in this Spotify and TikTok world.
Thank you all. Clearly, there is a thread. There are a number of threads that run through this conversation. I'm excited to see what else we talk about as we move forward. But the one of the thoughts that comes right to mind for me is the Sphere in Las Vegas right now, as I'm hearing about the many ways you are integrating all different types of things, architecture, design, music, electronic music, both acoustic and so on, and impacting impacting humanity. That's what's resonating with me as I'm hearing each of you speak. So can you talk to us more about, as Hunter just suggested, the future of music, and specifically about this combination that you're all involved with many, many different facets, and encompassed as part of that is the musical experience. What are we looking for and toward, and frankly, where do you see it as it moves?
You guys mind if I start that? Who's been to the Sphere, or who's heard of the Sphere? Okay, for those who don't know, the Sphere is a brand new installation. It's a 5D experience in Las Vegas that's basically an immersive movie theater and performance center. It is something that's as close to virtual reality as it gets, basically immersing you in a visual, but also an auditory field. I think they have 120,000 speakers in the venue. They kicked off with U2 playing kind of a residency concert in it, and it's probably one of the most fascinating experiences technologically right now that's out there. Kind of speaking to this, I think this brings up an interesting point right now. Where is music going? You know, I think we rewind 20 years ago, and music was, it was on the radio, it was at your house in some sort of player, and it was in a live venue. Now it's kind of in everything that we do. It's on our phones, it's underlining marketing, commercials, it's in our ears 24/7 with our, wireless earbuds. It's all around us. And I think, talking about immersive experiences is something, it's in gaming as well. I think that's a huge part of it. That's a future aspect. But these technological advancements and these innovative ways of presenting music and drawing an audience into something that isn't just music. It pairs it. It's a multi-dynamic presentation of different art forms and different types of things that can connect with the audience. I think that's personally what I'm most excited and what I'm most involved in. So, to start that off.
Yeah, I definitely agree with everything you just said. In Berlin, it's a little different. Say you go to a club in New York, or you go to a party in New York, you have a stage, or even the Fox. You have a stage, and on that stage you have a performer with tons of lights, visuals, everything shining at this performer. In Berlin, there's sometimes I'm in a dance floor and I don't know where the music is coming from. I see the speakers, but I don't know where that DJ is. The focus is not necessarily on him or the visual. The focus is on what you're hearing in your ears. So as I agree that music will get more and more connected to other mediums, for the purpose of conversation, if you focus on just the music, where I think what's going on here is, if you look back at the history, if you talk in the days of Mozart or Bach, music was something that was very exclusive. It existed only to the upper class or the people that had the resources to experience it. And music, whether it be an instrument or the way we experience it, is directly related to the tools or the technology that we make or let the music play on. And nowadays, with all this technology, music is in everyone's hands, like you said. Everyone is experiencing it. You no longer have to be in this elite class to experience music. So on the optimistic side of things, I really see music becoming something that is not just for the musicians, not just for the dancers, but is for everyone. With technology, it'll be easier for everyone to create music, for everyone to be involved in music, and not just be something special for a few of us.
Yeah, to kind of roll off that point, back, just a couple years ago, if you wanted to play an instrument, you had to, if you wanted to make a song, really, you would have to find a singer, find a guitarist, a drummer, find all these band members to craft a song, get a recording studio, and record and try to get a song mastered. And nowadays, it's so simple as any kid with a laptop can sit down in a coffee shop and make a song in an hour and, send it through AI on the internet, have the AI software fully kind of mix and master that song, get it to a professional audio level, and they can kick a song out in less than 24 hours and put it right on the internet. So the accessibility of music for the average person has become so accessible. Kind of going off of the back to the sphere and the 5D experience, music has become such an integrated part of all of our lives. We get in the car, it's immediately playing. We really enjoy immersive experiences. And so from what I see as, what's going to progress in the average listener's go-to as far as experiencing music is the term immersive experiences. So what does that mean, right? When you go to a venue, you go to a concert, you go to a show, typically you're experiencing the artist on a stage, and maybe there's some lights and visuals aspect. But what we're seeing now is an upward trend towards a full immersive experience. So looking at these major festivals that are starting to get bigger and bigger and bigger is they're trying to hit all the five senses, right? It's look, touch, the sound of the music, the interactive experiences, the smells that are in the air between, the food stalls and these quirky little kind of displays that you can interact with. It's about immersing the listener into the music and the culture of that maybe genre or of that sound that you are there to experience. So that's definitely a piece of future that I see kind of going with live events and music experiences.
It's really fascinating to hear about the immersive experience being what you're all identifying as so critical and important to the future. And I'm struck too by your comments in thinking back to those early years of music and the traditional classical structure and presentation, where it was almost the opposite in the sense that, it was in a full orchestral setting, for example, quiet, don't disrupt, don't distract. And only hence in more recent years did some presenters finally start to realize that, wait a minute, we're losing audiences in their engagement. Why would they come here when they can access it on their own, as you've pointed out? And so then becomes the tiniest dip towards, maybe we can have food served or drinks as well, or maybe we can interact more with our audience members and so on. So it's really fascinating and resonating with me. I wanted to ask, Marcus alluded to the AI. Do you all feel additional potential impacts, either good or bad, in the future for music and activities?
Yeah, there's a huge debate right now on the internet and amongst artists of, is AI going to ruin the music industry? I have yet to kind of sway one side or the other. I think when laptops came out, people said that using audio samples was considered cheating when making music, or having pre-programmed drums is cheating when you're constructing a song. Switching to electronic synthesizers was cheating compared to using a physical synthesizer. So it's an ongoing debate as technology advances, what is considered cheating on music creation and what's not. The way I feel like I kind of see it is that it's just another tool, and it's an inevitable tool that we're going to be able to use as artists. There is a multitude of different ways that AI is now impacting music, from both the artistry side, the production side, and even the brand building and marketing and the whole social media side. You have AI that can fully mix and master your song for you. You have AI synthesizers that you can plug in a sentence on what sound you're trying to create, and it'll create that sound for you that you can directly use as a synthesizer. They have AI, mastering tools and all assortment of things. So there is a big debate right now going on that is AI created music going to disrupt the market? My opinion is no. I think there is so much emotion that each individual artist brings behind their music that You can never take the humanity out of music, and you'll be able to tell if it's AI created or not. That's my personal opinion. There's always going to be a human touch to a human-made song. Even though it is getting very close to being indistinguishable, I think there will always be a place for human-made music and artists performing. I don't think AI
I think,
will
and
take
let's
over.
also be honest, I mean, music is such a dynamic art form. There's so many different facets of it. I mean, we're primarily talking about electronic music right now that can be produced by one person, but like, how is AI going to emulate someone playing a guitar at a campfire and everyone singing to it? It's not. And how is it going to emulate a solo pianist on a stage? It's not. So there's aspects and there's certain industries that, yes, it will completely disrupt. You know, making a little IP-free, royalty-free track that you can, you know, quickly create a commercial to, forget about it. That's out. I mean, AI is going to do that. I mean, it can already do that. But creating an emotive experience, I mean, just like art, any art, a painter, a sculptor, it takes true talent. It takes that like creative brilliance, and it takes a lot of practice. And there was a fascinating talk, I think it was yesterday, the day before, about ChatGPT and literature. Same conversation. Can it write a book? Yeah, sure, but it's mediocre. You know, it's the human experience, and I think that's one thing that we can all connect with music. You can cry, you can get angry, you can revolt, and a lot of that has a soundtrack to it. The movies have a soundtrack to it. It's dramatic. Some of it is formulaic. That's what AI will capture. Some of it is just purely artistry. So I think there's aspects and encouragement for all musicians that there is something ahead, especially live performance. AI is not going to be able to do live performance.
Yeah, I mean, going off that, it is a tool, and just like the typewriter and computer put everyone who made typewriters out of business, you got to get with it and keep moving with it. It's a tool that you got to adapt to. But that being said, I mean, you touched on mixing and mastering, and yeah, there are algorithms out there that will do it for you, but as a mixing and mastering engineer, I can tell you that it's not very good yet. It's good enough compared to 10 years ago, what you would get from somebody, yeah, of course, but as that technology advances, so do the pros. The pros got to keep above that. So that's constantly pushing the quality level of the production. So when you have a world when someone can go get their track mixed and mastered for $5 online, that'll be this level, but the professional mastering engineer is using much better tools, much better education, using a human brain, and giving that track a human element to it, which may, in statistical form, may not be perfect to a machine, but to our human ears, it sounds better. So, yeah, and just like you said with the piano, yeah, I make classical music on a computer, like I can do this too, but it's never gonna be the same as a violinist playing in front of me, making me cry. So AI, it's gonna be pivotal part of this, but music will always be human.
I'm sitting here as a dean of a college of music on this beautiful university campus, and I can't help but think, and I would love to hear from you, what is it you all feel will best equip our students, and I'm coming from a music study perspective, for the future, and what do we need to be doing to prepare students for the future in these ways?
I'm not going to approach this from an academic standpoint, but from more of an emotional, experiential standpoint. And I'll bring this back to kind of one of the, I think in pop culture, one of the most pivotal moments for me in music was watching the second Matrix. And there was a cheesy scene in it that everyone tore apart, but it stuck with me. And it's when the world's about to end and everyone's stuck down in a cave in Zion and they have a rave. And they dance all night long, and they do drugs, and they just have the most amazing connective time. And that stuck with me. And I've been to a lot of music festivals. I've produced, designed, and built stages for Coachella. I've designed and built stages for artists like Pharrell Williams. There's nothing that I've experienced that connects and bonds people more together than being at a music event. It's church. I mean, it is as spiritual as it gets. Whether it's one DJ or a Sigur Rós with a full orchestra behind them. I think to understand what that human quality is and what can connect and resonate with an audience, that's job security.
Well said.
Yeah, I mean, kind of going off what you said with church, in Berlin we have a club called Berghain. It's open from Saturday night till Monday midday. And many of my friends or people who go there, they call it church. For them, it's like their religion. Music is their religion. For them, it makes a lot more sense than a lot of these other things. Going off of that, I think music is also really therapeutic. Once a student realizes that they can change the world with music, I think you have a much more driven student who isn't just doing it for the money. If you ask me, money is the worst thing to happen to music. Music should be free for all and easy for everyone to experience.
I think the point that I would like to address for any up and coming musician in today's age is be ready to be more than just a musician as well. In today's age, you have the abundance of the internet and the access to it at the tips of your fingers. And so nowadays, musicians are not just musicians, they're also marketers, they are promoters, they are accountants and entrepreneurs. They are a jack of all trades to be able to take their personal brand, their music brand, into the limelight of the public audience. And so music, although it is very daunting for a lot of artists, it's only just a fraction of what it takes to try to make it into an industry on a large scale. If you really want to succeed, there's definitely a lot of other areas that you need to focus on, video editing and the works. So,
And that, if I may, on top of that, there's so many opportunities to be involved in music without actually being the one playing the notes. Every music event involves so many people coming together to make it actually happen, and that's part of the beauty of it too, is the community, like you said. It's not only on the dance floor, it's everyone that's coming together to make this celebration happen.
absolutely. Yeah.
I think a number of people, regardless of what industry they're in, do get concerned about the individual's access to so much in the palm of their hand, or even in their own bedroom with just some basic now accessible hardware and software. And we feel some concern about individuals they retreat into themselves potentially. You're all experiencing and building and presenting and thriving in the opposite of that, where no, it is absolutely experiential and you have to go out and be a part of it. So I'm just curious, do you see where you all see that, what I'm kind of saying is a dichotomy, but how will that impact? Will it impact? How are you feeling about it?
I feel like you kind of got it there. I mean, it's experience together, but I also have a very, very personal relationship with music, and I know that every musician has that as well. When I'm sad, there are certain songs I bawl my eyes out to. When I'm celebrating, there's certain songs that I alone celebrate. So we all have an individual relationship with music, which is why I think when you put it all together, all of our individual relationships are all of a sudden being shared together as one, which I find amazingly beautiful.
I think there's two parts of this too. I mean, I've been talking about like a communal experience. The individual solo experience sometimes is the most profound. And, I have colleagues right now that are composing music for individual psychedelic experiences, something to augment and enhance experience with psilocybin, MDMA, DMT. The soundtrack is as important as what they're doing from a medicinal standpoint. That's a very internal experience. And you can't create that experience by, sharing your music with a large crowd. So there's a full spectrum of application here. And I think, as an artist, the 10,000 hours or whatever it is to mastery still proves true. There are tools right now that you can immediately become an artist, but to be really good at it takes going inside, takes focus, takes discipline, and takes time.
Go ahead. I was just going to say, sometimes locking yourself in your room and really focusing on what you're creating and shutting out the world and going inward and trying to pull something out of you and onto whatever your outlet is for or music creation is very, very, very important, and that is what ultimately will get you very far with music, is taking that time to kind of lock in and focus and discover the sound that is trying to escape from you. So.
And I was asked maybe a couple months ago by someone if they thought AI would be the death of the DJ. And I thought about this for a while, and I found myself at a festival, Fusion Festival in Germany, and I was looking at this crowd of 10,000 people, and I started to imagine, okay, what if that human up there is AI? Okay, we have 10,000 people here. This machine is reading the crowd, it's looking at every single one of you, and it's listening. It knows your Spotify playlist, it knows exactly what you like, it knows what you like, it knows what you like, and it's creating an algorithm that's giving the best sound for everyone here. Interesting, eh? But the more you think about it, it sounds awful. It sounds really, really bad. The reason we go to these events is for the human part of it, to have something that isn't an algorithm, to have something that's creative and spontaneous.
Yeah, to experience something new.
Yeah.
Unexpected.
Well, Matthew, you're making me want to ask the question, are there other things that perhaps we should be wary of or be thinking of now as we're looking towards the future that society may not be paying as much attention to?
I don't know. I think the society we've created has also made it very hard to be a musician. The monetization of it. So I think in the future we might have to worry about there maybe being less musicians because it's not something feasible, even though technology makes it so easy.
You mentioned, I think it was Matthew that mentioned live electronic music now, which is kind of exciting. And one of the areas of my background was jazz. And instantly I was thinking about how something that sometimes has not been part of active music making, depending on the genre, and frankly, rather made people fearful of musicians to venture into these areas, is improvisation. But what you're describing there is improvisation, and which is an expression too of who we are as humans and who we want to be, and which makes us unique. How much does improvisation, in whatever way, factor into the things that you all are involved with?
I mean, I think improvisation is key to music, whether it's in the production or whether it's in actually the live performance. It's part of how the brain works when you're making music. You have to be improvious. Is that the word? You have to use improvisation, and through collaboration, that's even easier. When you're working with multiple people, you improv with each other.
I want to ask a question, and Hunter, you're the one, I think, to answer this. Wondering how the laws of Nevada may have changed the music or DJ's work of Burning Man.
Yeah, it's Burning Man. I think there's an aspect of some of these artistic ritual events that is based on freedom of expression and decommodification. We're not going here to play music to make money. We're here to play music with others. And I've been to Burning Man 3 times. I've been to a lot of other music festivals and different types of music festivals, not just electronic music. One of the most profound moments that I've had at Burning Man, outside of doing art at Burning Man, is stumbling across the temple at sunrise one morning and witnessing a full symphony. And some of those members were naked, some had tutus on, but they were playing Schindler's List. And the temple is a place of remembrance and mourning. They were playing basically the full soundtrack to Schindler's List. And it was probably 80 people there and probably 500 people in the audience at sunrise. And it was one of the most beautiful, profound things I've ever seen. And, not focusing on things like Burning Man, but going out into culture and looking towards the future. What is freedom of expression? And, I'll just ask a question to the audience right now. Like, who is a musician here? Raise your hand. So not too many, but a handful. We look at the youth, those generations. Are they musicians? What type of instruments? What type of inspiration? What type of encouragement? They're not getting it in school. And, great, thank you to John and CU for having a musical program here. But it's just not part of culture currently. So, as culture, like what are we defining as our values? What is value? And there's monetization comes from value. And Matthew talked about difficulties monetizing music. Well, I think it starts on like what are our pillars of society? And it used to be the arts. I mean, you look at Greek, Roman Empire, arts, culture, they were founding principles. They celebrated it. They brought it up. They brought it to the top. Why can't we do that?
I know the answer to that question. Actually, I don't know the answer to that question. I want to get to a student submitted question here. You asked about musicians in the audience. The question is, how do you become an elite player in the music industry?
Supporting everyone around you is the first step. I think showing up is majority of the battle. Being active in your community.
Yeah, to go on that part, I recently heard someone tell me that 90% of it is showing up. You'd be surprised at how many people don't actually show up. And simply showing up, you never know who you're going to meet, who you're going to get introduced to, what room you're going to end up in, and who that connection that you might have made in line waiting for a bathroom somewhere, where that's going to take you. Such an important thing in this industry is who you know and who you're growing with. And what I have found to be the biggest factor of success is surrounding yourself with very, very supportive people, like-minded individuals, people on a playing field that you are on currently, and pushing each other to grow together, giving away your resources just openly, and you will find that in exchange you are going to receive the resources from everyone else around you to bring yourself to that next level. You will find that over time it all compounds on top of each other, and before you know it, you're reaching heights that you want to be at.
I think there's this classic notion of the apprentice and the master that I don't know if we hold high in value much anymore. I mean, certain industries do that and require it, like law firms, but in the creative professions, I think we have so many tools at our fingertips right now. In music, I mean, every music suite that you can have on your laptop and do it on a flight to, Dallas or something. You could compose a song. Are you doing that collaboratively with anyone? Do you have any advisors? Are you, looking for mentors? I think it's so important. I look back on kind of my design career, and I attribute a lot of my initial boost of gaining discipline, of gaining just resource through my mentors. And I think for any musician, upcoming musician, even established musician, that dialogue, that level of communication with others, and being humble, being ability to reach out to someone that you might be terrified to send an email to, but don't be afraid. Reach out to them. Most likely, they will respond, and if they don't, the next person will.
Yeah, that next step that you want to be at is on the other side of fear. So don't let fear hold you back, for sure.
I think it's really fascinating to also understand that the background, that the various backgrounds include study in architecture, study in engineering, studies in music. It's really fascinating that, and a sign of how, in addition to formal music training, it's a much bigger world than it used to be in these many ways.
I know many people that have no musical training at all, but their music is amazingly beautiful. Sometimes you don't need the music theory. It helps a lot, but you don't necessarily need it. We know what's beautiful sometimes just by our ears.
Another audience question. What are your thoughts on the success or not of live streaming concerts and events across the globe presented in local theaters?
Presented in local theaters?
Yeah.
I think it's great. I think if you can gain access via the internet to a live performance, whether that's sitting in your bed on your laptop, sitting on a bus and watching it on your phone, or being able to go to your local venue and experience that show through a screen, I think that is a beautiful part about the internet, is that you get to experience it one way or the other, whether it's live or over a screen. It's still at your access.
Let's look at just local here. How much does it cost to go to a show at Red Rocks right now? And who's playing at Red Rocks? And let alone most of the venues in Colorado or the United States or the world. It's been consolidated. It's very expensive. It only basically is an opportunity and an experience for a very privileged and limited class. So the more we can expand and get music out there, especially live experience, and foster that sense of a communal engagement, I think the better. Now, it's a double-edged sword. How do you pay the artists? How do you pay the producers? It's a lot of work to put on a live event, especially one worthy of, sharing at movie theaters or however you want to do it. It's a lot of work. It's very complex. But I think it's so important. I think that's, talking about the future of music, that should be explored. It's a wide open industry, live event. Where should they occur? Down in City Park, in Denver, they do a jazz festival all summer, every single weekend. That's a great thing. If you want to go to free live music, look locally, look in the community. It happens all over the place. And that's, again, going to what Matt said, supporting your local musicians.
Just sometimes the word stream makes me shiver because it brings me back to COVID. And being a DJ in Berlin in COVID was a very interesting experience because everything all of a sudden became a live stream. Every festival you were going to play is now a festival live stream, or this party is now this. And I agree with everything you're saying about accessibility. The more music we can get out to people through the internet, the more people that hear, ultimately, the better. But being a DJ that's just playing for a camera, is really, really frustrating. Part of what we do is interacting with the crowd in front of us, gauging it and moving forward. But when you're just going alone to a camera, acting like you're in a party, it's wrong, as it felt wrong as an artist. So I think this, like you said, it's a double-edged sword here. It's if it's a live event and there's people there, share it. But this whole idea of, I mean, you saw it in Corona too, all these Broadway musicals, just one time live on camera. It's kind of the same thing. It's removing the live element from something that is supposed to be live. But if you can keep that live element and then add the camera to it, that's where we're headed, right? Because then now you're sharing this live event with the rest of the world.
What was it during COVID? Was it Twitch? Was that the kind of
Twitch,
live
yeah.
streaming?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was interesting. It was fun for a minute, but then it kind of got depressing. I went to a panel yesterday about gaming and immersive gaming and AR and VR experiences, and there's some pretty interesting things right coming up that could create more of an augmented reality and simulate a live experience. And it could be live. It could be broadcasted live. You could be immersed in it with others, communicating, engaging with others in a live experience. Is that great for the performer? I don't know, but does it give a larger audience and a broader audience accessibility to an experience and potentially inspire them to maybe change their point of view or their perspective on what is important and inspiring? I don't know.
It's going off of the VR and AR thing and just going more accessible to everyone. Something I've started to notice popping up, and something I'm very optimistic and looking forward to seeing more of, is setting up AR and VR cameras, basically where the visual control station is on a stage, and being able to throw on a Apple Vision Pro or a Meta Quest and being able to fully immerse yourself at, say, Red Rocks for maybe a $5 admission, or maybe it's just free, and being able to fully immerse yourself into that experience without having to go there, whether it's a restriction on being able to get to the venue or not. So that's something I'm really optimistic and looking forward to seeing more of.
Back to Corona, we don't have to talk much about it, but during this time, a friend of mine was actually playing on it was a virtual festival. So essentially you'd go on to this website and you'd create your avatar, and all of a sudden you're in essentially like a video game. You control this character, you can go over to that dance floor, listen to this person, you could go over here, look at this art gallery. For me, that doesn't really work yet, but imagine maybe the next generation, or the generation that's kind of born into this, there might be a point where live music maybe is a very rare thing. I sure hope not, but maybe people get so used to living in the simulation. I see your face. But we can't speak for the next generations. A couple generations ago, they would look at my cell phone and be like, where's the wire? We can't understand what the next generation will think or where their heads will be at, but the technology is there to give the experience to somebody anywhere.
There's aspects of haptic suits. So these, wearable coats, wearable gloves that vibrate and and there's been studies and actual products created for deaf people so that they can actually listen to and feel music at concerts. So technology, I don't think, is like doomsday on music. I think there's aspects, and there's also different tiers of experience that I'm excited about. I'm optimistic about it.
You kind of have to be, right?
Well, actually, it's rather uplifting and exciting to hear what you're describing. In fact, and right on the heels of that, one of the questions submitted here is, how do you see, and you've started to do this, how do you see live concerts becoming more immersive experiences? What other ways?
I think kind of what you just said. I mean, now I just tried on the Vision Pro a couple days ago. It was crazy. But they have, like, one of the videos they show you is you're right on first base when the pitch is thrown, and then he knocks it and he catches, and you're sitting right there. So I think you will get the same thing, like you said, at Red Rocks or even for all you know, you could go back and watch a concert you could go watch the Beatles, front row.
Matthew and I were chatting the other night. The three of us played the Fox Theater on Tuesday night, which was really fun, and we all got to meet then. He was talking about his experience playing parties in Berlin, and often what they do is they require you to check your phone at the door and turn everything off.
Yeah, no pictures.
And what is immersive? Is immersive requiring some sort of augmented technology to bring you into an experience? Or is it just being there and being perceptive and engaged and aware of it? So I think it's really interesting. I mean, I see immersive terminology used as much as like sustainable and green building right now. And there's a lot of fluff out there. And some of the most immersive, meaningful, emotive experience I've had is where it's just me and my friends, or just me. And there's nothing else. It's just me and the music. And I think I think that analog experience, I'm doubling down on that. That will always be here to stay. The challenge is, how exclusive is that experience? Where do you get that experience? Do you get it out in a park? Or do you get it in a very, very exclusive, high-end venue that only a certain person is invited to? So, and this goes into real estate. This goes into event producers, restaurants, theaters. Who are you selling to? And we're gonna see the full spectrum of that.
Yeah, I've definitely seen a rise in interest from artists wanting to do the phone check in the United States. I think I was out here last year and I went to Red Rocks, and they take your phone and they stick it in a bag, and you keep your phone on you, but you can't take it out until you leave, and they have a little magnetic clip that unlocks it. It's just, some people don't like that because we're all so dependent on our phones now. But at this point, that's what it takes to experience the immersiveness of being present at a live show. Something we try to focus on with my record label is, we can't take everyone's phones. We can't do that, but I don't know if any of you guys are familiar with what's called like a boiler room set. It's an event company that kind of coined the term, and the culture of music has really fallen a liking to it. And I have found that has created some of the most fun and immersive experiences, where essentially you take the artist or the DJ and you put them in the middle of the room rather than on the stage, and you encourage everyone to swarm around that artist. We do it that way every single Friday at our location, and I have found that is what puts the phones away, because the concert goer, the listener of the music, gets to be on the same level, the same playing field as the artist. They're not put on this pedestal, but they're an equal, and you get to be right up and intimate and close with them, and experience the party with the artist rather than having the artist, play the music for you. You're a part of it, and that type of immersion in the music, I think, is gaining trend, and it's so fun. It's a lot of fun. I don't know.
Other than the three of you here who are doing such amazing, really, really amazing work that all three of you are doing, are there those out there who we maybe should pay attention to as far as giving us an idea of what may come? People that you think, wow, watch for this, or watch these things, people, trends, whatever you think.
It's a tough one.
There's a group, I don't know exactly which country they're based out of. They go by Another or Another. It's kind of a weird spelling without a vowel. They created a festival called No Art, and it's kind of ironic because it is all art. They install these insanely beautiful art pieces rather than a stage with lights and visuals. It's a massive art piece, or the location that they decide to throw the festival or show or concert at is an abstract location where the scenery or the architecture around you is stunning. And I would definitely pay attention to them. I think what they're doing is very innovative, very beautiful, and they're trying to spread a culture of art and love and just positive energy for everyone involved. So, yeah.
I thought of a fun one. There's this guy that does this thing called Earth Harp. I'm not sure if you're familiar with it. He's at Burning Man and other places. And essentially what he does is he makes an instrument out of the space. So if he was to make an Earth Harp in here, he would mount strings from over there, over here, and carve the space to essentially, imagine a violin. We would be inside the violin, and he's plunking it, and we are inside the instrument that's actually resonating. So I think this is kind of an example of how people are going to challenge what we know as an instrument, what we know as music in general, or the overall experience.
Yeah, I think it's hard to like pinpoint personalities or groups that are innovating, because so many people are innovating in music and across genres. I mean, you know, I look at someone like Hans Zimmer, and that guy's just been constant innovation through his entire career. And now he's on such a global spotlit presence, composing for some of the largest movies like Dune 2 and everything before Dune 2. And what is he doing? He's impacting people. Like, he's creating the emotion. Like, you take away him, that movie is, I mean, what is the movie? So, yeah, I would say, you know, those who are changing goes from curators, festival producers, you know, the Rick Rosses of these worlds, who are just, you know, they have such a very, very convinced passion and a very refined taste in what is going to influence culture. I think these types of personalities, we should understand, like, what have they done in their careers to get to where they are, and then some of the artists, the small artists, the person playing some incredible thing on a street corner that you've never heard before. That's like, that moves you and captures your attention. I think it's just being aware of what's out there and also exploring, because the world of music is so diverse and so complex. If we're not curious about what's happening, we can't just brand, hey, this one group or entity is driving music right now. That's who we should follow. There's a little of something everywhere you look, under every single rock.
This one's going to come out of left field, kind of. I'd like to hear from each of you, what is it that inspires you about what you do? What is it at your core that gratifies you and commits you to what you're doing?
I think for me, you know, from a music standpoint, it's the ability to storytell with an emotional connection. Most of what I do incorporates, but it's not exclusively music. It incorporates it as one of the collaborative components, but also a necessary and a very important component of the production. And if I can produce an emotion and a response, an impact on the audience that we present our artworks to through music, and they can cry, they can laugh, they can celebrate, then that makes everything I do worthwhile.
Yeah, I mean, there's of course the joy of sharing, but for me personally, it's the art of solo creation. The way I feel when I make music is unlike anything else. I'm free of time, concern, and worry. And that feeling keeps me going. And then being able to channel that creativity with creativity and see its effect on others is just wow.
I don't think I can pinpoint the specific place where the passion stems from. I've always, since I was a little kid, was just enthralled with music, and when we had iPods, I was the kid in class that everyone would bring their iPods to, and I would give them my playlist because I just loved finding new and interesting music to listen to, and the gift of sharing that music with people, I think, has always been a driving factor. The community that's around in the music industry is, I mean, everyone's there to have a good time, right? And I think surrounding yourself in a place where everyone's just there to have a good time is a beautiful place to be, and building that community and seeing people's faces light up when they hear a song that they weren't expecting, or hearing music that's just captivating them, and it's all encompassing. I mean, I think the passion just stems from the joy of the experience of what music is.
I've been really struck today by how many times the word impact has been used. I started to write down, I was thinking about Hunter and how many, but then I thought, no, this is getting ridiculous. I'm going to get tired of writing that word, but I think it's so incredible that that's what's inside us, and certainly in your work and what you do and what inspires you. And we're here again at CU Boulder, and our chancellor, who has been serving our institution for so many decades in various roles, including chancellor, one of the priorities that I've always appreciated that he has had is positively impacting humanity. And as someone involved in the arts and in music, that's one that I always grab onto. I want to give a chance just for each of you to share some additional thoughts about whatever you might like, but I'm going to give you one rapid-fire quick question. And by the way, thank you for the questions that you've submitted. I'm so sorry we can't get to them all. There are many terrific questions. But here's the one rapid-fire. If you wanted to come back to CWA, might you be open to considering letting us put your music in the planetarium with laser shows?
Absolutely. Yeah, that'd be so fun.
Well, that was a good one.
You got it.
I'm going to have to say absolutely not.
So I invite each of you, maybe again, starting with Marcus, just some final thoughts before we have to wrap up here.
Yeah, I think we touched on a lot of very interesting topics, from AI to virtual reality to the sphere, immersive experiences, you know. I guess the final note that I will say is the future of music right now is very bright. There's so many tools at our fingertips that is going to not only enhance the quality of music, the quality of songs, the creative components that go into not just the composition and audible song, but the whole experience going into it. There's a lot to look forward to, and yeah, I'm very, very excited for what the future of music holds.
Yeah, I second all of that. As technology advances, don't forget that music is moving there right next to it. Our machines, our technology, every year, every month, there's a new synth coming out that can make new sounds that you've never even heard of. So the future of music is going to sound very, very interesting.
You know, one of the things that I'm kind of looking at this panel on is that we're all guys, and we're all DJs or music producers. One of the things I've been witnessing over the last several years is a lot more women getting booked to play festivals and being put in the spotlight as DJs and artists. And that's really encouraging, because I think this has been a male-dominated sector of the music industry for far too long. And I'm really excited for what women are bringing to dance music right now. It's a much different feeling and sensation and emotion, and I'm really excited for that. And I think, just as anything with music is ever-changing. It's so dynamic. You know, for those who are classic pianists, again, there is a place for you. There's a lot of DJs, and there should be more, instruments as well. And I think, we're starting to see live DJ sets with drummers, with saxophones, with, someone playing a cello. I mean, it's anything goes, and that's the fun part about it. Like there's no prescriptive way of creating, producing, or exposing people to music. Like there will be an audience if you do really good work and you can connect with an audience. So I think, for those who are, wondering about where the future of music goes and if they're going to remain relevant in where that goes, I'd say evolve.
Well, I thank the three of you very much. Seriously, this has just been a wonderful discussion. I find myself feeling impressed, enthused, and very grateful to the three of you for what you're doing, what you've shared with us here today. So thank you very much for being here today.